Thursday edition of PFTPM, and during football season, that means it's a joint enterprise, PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned, and we are ready to go with the joint Mega Picks podcast, all games, straight up against the spread, best bets. Now, let's gloss over this next part, please, shall we? I know they're going to put up the graphic. I don't want it to be up for very long. I don't want to wallow in my own crappy performance from last week. I am embarrassed. I am ashamed that I was 0-3 in best bets. That bothers me more than anything else because the rest of the stuff, we check the boxes, Chris. We have to make the picks. Best bets are the ones we choose. And, man, I chose wrong last week.
I know. It hurt, I'm sure. I don't have much more, positive things to say about myself either. I'm sitting here thinking, I know we lost the Bucs game. We had that we both had that as our best bets. I can't even remember what my other loss was. The Saints game, that's right. Man, and I felt good about that in the fourth quarter. I was really feeling like the Saints were controlling the football game, and they let that slide away. I do take some pride in straight up, too. I mean, I'm just 7-7 for both of us there is not acceptable. I mean, it's really not. That annoyed me just as much as our best bets. But either way, I get to drive the ship today because I beat you versus the spread by a game and beat you by best bets. So I drive, which is a little more exciting. When you do drive, are you a heavy foot? Are you a driving Miss Daisy type? How does Mike Florio drive?
Depends on which car I'm driving.
Oh.
Just leave it at that.
Okay. So you mean like if it's the really fast one, you'll step on the gas a little bit? Is that what you're saying?
It depends on who's in the car with me as well.
Oh, okay. So if your son's not in there, you'll step on it really hard. If he is, then you try to be your wife?
Right church, wrong pew.
Oh,
yeah.
Your wife. She's the one that gets on you. Okay. All right. That's good to know. I have a heavy foot all the time, no matter who's in the car. So there's where we differ.
And an active finger.
Oh, what? Whoa. I am the king of, hey, kids, look over there. Hey. I am. They don't.
What are you doing?
I did it. That's right. We're on digital. Right. Deal with it.
Hello, Peacock.
Here we go, Peacock. Let's go. They've never seen the middle finger on Peacock before. How are they going to handle it? All right, Thursday Night Football. Let's go. We got a doozy. Packers, 49ers. The 49ers are literally dropping like flies between COVID-19, injuries, everything. Packers coming off the tough loss to the Vikings last week. They are favored by 7.5. We don't know who's starting even at quarterback right now for the 49ers. We're not sure. Over under at 48.5. Packers favored by 7.5. Mike, do you think the Packers will cover the spread? Because I know you're going to pick them to win.
We talked about this one earlier today on PFT Live, the possibility that the 49ers may have a little surprise for the Packers, the possibility that the Packers will be flat because every time they play in California under Matt LaFleur, they are flat. I just think the circumstances this time around line up in favor of the Packers. They're coming off of a game where they got caught flat-footed. They're far less likely to get sucker punched again, especially against an overmatched team. I'll go 27-17 Green Bay Packers, win the game, cover the spread, just because of the way the planets are lining up here. If the Packers had won on Sunday, I may be tempted to pick an upset here. But given that the Packers are already on high alert, I think they come out, they take care of business, they right the ship until the next time they step into a pothole.
Yeah, it's hard to pick the 49ers. I mean, it really is. Just, and I'm a little with you, Mike. Whether Green Bay won or lost to Minnesota or whatever, I think if, this COVID outbreak doesn't happen with the 49ers, I think there's a good chance I might have picked them to win the football game tonight. I do think they match up well with the Green Bay Packers. And, of course, I think Shanahan knows how to crack the Matt LaFleur, Mike Pettin code there. So that's where I think they have an advantage. But they're just too undermanned. And you're right, the Packers are going to be a little more on edge because they lost last week. And they're going to realize that, hey, this is their chance to go to California and win a football game like that. I'm going to make it a little closer, though. I am. I think the 49ers will show some fight. I think Shanahan will give them a few schematical advantages. I'm going to go Packers 24-20. And the fact that, the Packers are motivated because they lost last week, but I think they're also going to look at all these players hurt and not playing and that might make them a hair lackadaisical. I don't know what to think. Thursday Night Football is tough, but I'm definitely going with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers in this one.
FYI, it is lackadaisical, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. We only trigger the Sims-isms during PFT Live.
Okay, well, we can trigger them anytime. I don't care. All right, so let's go to another one here. Kind of a fascinating game itself. I was a little surprised to see the spread, I guess. Broncos at Falcons. Falcons favored by 4. Over, under at 50. Go ahead, Mike. Lead it off.
Well, look, the Falcons, you could argue, are better than their record would suggest.
Yeah, sure.
You could argue that they should be 4-4, maybe 5-3. They've had games that they've lost that they should have won. They should have beaten the Lions, but for the Todd Gurley boneheaded fall into the end zone when he should have gone down at the 1. They should be 3-0 under Raheem Morris. The Broncos pulled a rabbit out of their hat or some other orifice last Sunday against the LA Chargers, came back from that big deficit. I think the Falcons, with the extra time to get ready, the motivation to try to finish strong, and the awareness that after this game, the schedule gets difficult for the Falcons. They still play the Saints twice. They still play the Buccaneers twice. They still play the Chiefs, Chris.
Yeah.
They've got some tough games coming up. So if they want to win enough to help parlay Raheem Morris's audition into a permanent gig, they need this one. I like the Falcons 30-23. No trades were made. The team is together. They're going to finish it strong. And who knows what's going to happen after their bye. And I believe their bye is next week. So finish strong into the bye. Worry about those games against the Saints and the Bucs and the Chiefs later. But get a win now, and I think they will. 30-23. I think the extra days after last Thursday night help.
Yeah.
And I just think the Broncos... I'm not going to say they got lucky, but they were playing the AFC's version of the Falcons, the team that just loves to blow leads.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. You're right. I mean, the Broncos are a little all over the place, really, in a lot of ways. They're a hard team to get a feel for. Their offense has been very inconsistent. Yeah, we saw them come alive towards the end of last week. But, I mean, man, through 3 quarters, it was really ugly in Strugglesville. You know, the week before that, there was no offense versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The defense played well. You know, they had the Patriots game. They're a hard team to get a feel for. Now, where ultimately, I think the game will be close because I don't think Atlanta's offense is schematically real special. They got some talented football players, but I think because of that, Fangio will have a little bit of a hold on their defense to where I don't think they're going to blow them out. You know, and yeah, Atlanta's defense not great, but as you mentioned, under Raheem Morris and things like that, it's been a lot better. It certainly has. And Denver's offense, I just don't trust it. I really don't. To where I'm going to give Atlanta the win here too, but I'm going to say it's close. I think it's a field goal type of game. Just because I think Drew Lock and Philip Lindsay and company will be able to do just enough to kind of keep the game within a 1 score, always close, doing that against the Falcons defense. And I think that Broncos defense will make life at least hard on Matt Ryan and company. I'm going to go 23-20 Falcons. I kind of think it might be a late drive field goal type win for them, but we'll see where it goes. I've had a hard time getting a grasp for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, and I think everyone has had a hard time figuring out who the Broncos are, including the Broncos. One last point about this game.
Yeah.
They've had COVID issues this week.
Yeah.
They've had COVID issues for the past few weeks. It's affected coaches more than players, and GM John Elway has it now. But that's another thing. I think they had a day where they didn't practice this week. These are things that I think will accumulate and make it harder for them to go to Atlanta and win or stay within the 4-point spread.
Yeah, right. All right, here we go. Next one. It's one of my favorite games of the day. I can't wait to watch this. This is Russell Wilson, Seattle, going across the country to Buffalo. The Seahawks are favored by 3 points. The over-under it is at 55. We got 2 quarterbacks who love to throw the football, and 2 teams that rely on their quarterbacks to make big plays throwing the football to win the game. I'm intrigued by this one. I didn't have do you got the guts to take the Bills is what I want to know.
No.
Right.
Look, and Buffalo fans, here's what's going to happen. They're going to get mad at us for not picking them. You know, and here's the reason. The Bills haven't been the same team the last 4 weeks. They got the crap kicked out of them by the Titans. I almost said the other word. Then they lost convincingly to the Chiefs. Then they screwed around, almost said a different word there as well, with the Jets. And then they gave the Patriots an opening to beat them. I don't believe in the Bills against an elite team. And the one thing about the Seahawks, and DK Metcalf told me this after one of their early season wins when they crossed the country.
Right.
They love playing
Yeah.
in the 1 o'clock Eastern time window because and this is weird that teams would do this with elite franchises, but these East Coast teams think they have an edge when they're playing a West Coast team at 10 a.m. body clock time.
Right.
The Seahawks love to show that they're unaffected by it. They relish it. They love it. And I think that the Seahawks will win. I got 30-20, so Seahawks win. They cover the spread. I think with Jamal Adams back, the defense will be better. The defense already was better last week.
Yep.
And I just don't think anybody's stopping that offense in Seattle.
Yeah,
especially now that they realize they just need to feed DK Metcalf.
No doubt. It's the greatest thing they got going for them. And, I know I talked about this earlier in the week. When they fed DK Metcalf last week, the second half, guess what happened? The 49ers went to, we're going to play two safeties and help our corners. And then all of a sudden, Seattle was able to run the ball and opened up a few other things. Now, they didn't have to really press the issue because they were dominating the game there. But they can really change the way defenses play them if they attack with DK Metcalf anytime they get one-on-one. I think it's the greatest thing they got going for them. I mean, the Bills, their defense, how can you really think they're going to stop Russell Wilson in Seattle? I mean, the defense hasn't been good all year for Buffalo, but it's had some okay showings when it plays a team that goes, oh, wait, they're all run or they're all pass. And then they can kind of hang in there. But Seattle's not that way. Yeah, we know they're pass heavy and they're going to win the game with the right arm of Russell Wilson. But they're not so pass heavy to where they lose sight of the run game altogether. And I think that's really going to compromise Buffalo because Buffalo is going to be like, whoa, wait, we're going to get overpowered up front by the run game. We need to help that out, but we can't cover DK Metcalf with anybody we have on our team one-on-one, and that's where they'll be in a bind. Now, I think Buffalo's offense is going to make some plays, certainly. I do, but I almost the same logic here. Seattle's defense can be kind of good when they play offenses they know are just one-dimensional, and that's where – yeah, they might have a lot of people in the box this week to scare Buffalo from running the football, but they'll drop out and play coverage and do things like that. And they're always good for making a play or two every game. That's what they do. They did it last week. They do it almost every week. So from all those reasons, it's scary, but I'm picking Seattle too. I went 35-27. I think this will be pretty high scoring and fun to watch, but I'm like you. I don't believe in Buffalo. Playoff team, not a Super Bowl contender team. And Seattle is a Super Bowl contender team. Good. Anything else you want to say there?
No, I think we're good to go.
All right, here we go. Baltimore versus Baltimore. Baltimore Ravens versus Indianapolis Colts. Ravens favored by 2. Got some COVID issues, but only Marlon Humphrey should miss the football game. The Colts have their own issues today that, Mike, maybe you can explain here in a second. But the Ravens favored by 2, over-under at 47. And these are two of the best defenses in football to go around. Not statistically 1 and 2, but the Colts are 2 and the Ravens are 7. So this will be a physical football game for sure.
Yeah, the Colts have a staff member who tested positive.
Yeah.
They're still practicing on Thursday, but they're doing their meetings virtually. The contact tracing will or won't disclose additional individuals who have to go on to the COVID-19 reserve list as a precaution. That's the new twist in all this. That's that 24 hours later or sooner we find out who else has been flagged to be removed from the roster. And in this case, since it wasn't a player, maybe it'll be no one. But we'll find out at some point on Friday, as will the Colts, whether or not they have to shut down some additional players. And if they shut them down now, they don't get them back. The Ravens are getting their guys back Saturday morning. The Colts may lose players, and they won't be available for the game. Either way, look, the Ravens recovered well and responded well after they lost to the Chiefs in week 3, I think it was. Yes, it was week 3.
Right.
They outplayed the Steelers. They go back and look at that film, and I think they're going to say, we just need to do what we did. They have to iron out a few things, and it's not like they're going against a slouch of a defense, but I think the Ravens should have confidence coming out of that game. They need to find the silver lining, and they need to keep winning because the Steelers, we pointed this out on Monday, have a fairly easy run until the rematch on Thanksgiving night, 3 weeks from today. The Ravens have a tougher stretch. They have to keep winning
right.
So that game in Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving night will allow them to pull a little closer to a tie. That's what they need to do, and I think they will. 2 points. I'm flagging this one for a best bet because this is one where I feel pretty good about the Ravens winning.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to take the chance it's going to be
more than 2.
a 2-point or a 1-point game. Yeah, it's at least going to be 20-17 or something like that. The score I've picked is 27-20. But either way, I like the Ravens. I don't like them to cover.
Yeah, I get you. It's one of mine that I got flagged here, too. The Colts defense is really good. There's no doubt about that. I think what scares me is the last time they played a team that could really run the football, it was the Browns, and the Browns ran the ball on them. That scares me a little bit. And then the other thing, too, is the Ravens just can run the football on anybody. It doesn't matter. I don't give a damn how good your defense is. I mean, look what they did to the Steelers last week. People can't piss a drop against the Steelers, moving the ball and running the ball the way they did. So that's unbelievable. As much as I respect this Colts defense, I just don't know. It's hard when you haven't played this offense before and have no experience with it and everything. Like you said it on the show today. You said about Kyler Murray, there's no scout team quarterbacks that can emulate that. Well, it's the same thing for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, right? To where, I just don't know if they're going to be ready for what they're getting in here for. And with the Colts on offense to the Ravens defense, I'm interested in that matchup. The Colts offensive line should be able to protect Rivers a little bit, definitely. But I think ultimately what scares me too there is, the Colts are still they're a pass-first football team. Their run game is not scaring anybody yet, or at least not to this point. We'll see where it goes. And I just think the Ravens, even without Marlon Humphrey, are too good in the back end. They're too creative with some of the things they do. And I got a similar score to you. I'm going to go 30-24 in this one. I think the Colts hang around, but I think the Ravens clearly show that they're the better football team. All right, next game. Houston, Jacksonville, played a few weeks ago. Houston dominated them in that football game. This is Texans favored by 6.5, over under at 50.5. We got Jake Luton is how you say it, starting quarterback this week instead of Minshew in Jacksonville. How much do you have the Texans winning by, Mike?
Jake Luton, Luke Jayton, Mark Brunell, I don't care. This is not good for the Jaguars. Both teams had 2 weeks to get ready, so there's no advantage there. But the Jaguars are the ultimate get your crap together team. The team you want to play when you need a win. Look all the way back to week 2. We have seen teams beat them when they need that win. And I think the Texans desperately need a win now. Romeo Crennel needs to get the ship righted again. And the one win so far this year for the Texans has come against the Jaguars. I think with Deshaun Watson. I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah,
sometimes
that's right.
There's high-level analysis. Sometimes there isn't. Deshaun Watson,
Jake Luton. Right.
Luke Jayton. Whatever it is. Sorry, Luke or Jake, whatever it is, you're not Deshaun Watson, and I think that's the difference.
No, let's. I don't need to waste time on this. The Jaguars' defense stinks, and the other team has Deshaun Watson and some weapons at its disposal. And you're right, Jake Luton starting quarterback on the other side of the ball. I can't go against the Texans in that one. So yes, I'm with you. I'm going Houston here, 31-20. And I believe that's what they won the first time by, actually, when I just saw that. I believe it was 31-20 Houston. Or no, it was 31-13, so I gave Jacksonville an extra touchdown. All right.
I got 34-21. I didn't give my score. 34-21.
34-21. I know. This is another one I had starred where I just go, man, would I make this a best bet? But I get scared about making it a best bet when it's bad teams, and they're both kind of bad, and I just, I always worry about that. All right. Here we go. The Carolina Panthers, another team a little bit all over the map. It's hard to figure them out, and they're a matchup football team. The Chiefs are favored by 10.5. Carolina going to Kansas City, over under at 52.5. Do you have the Chiefs covering the spread or not?
I do, because the Chiefs, I think, learned the hard way against the Raiders that they can't take anyone lightly. They won't take the Panthers lightly. The Panthers have done enough good things this year that Andy Reid can get the Chiefs full attention. Teddy Bridgewater's a little banged up. He was on the injury report yesterday with a neck problem, undoubtedly from the cheap shot that he took last week from Charles Harris against the Atlanta Falcons, but he fully participated in practice. The X factor here, and the thing that is keeping me, I believe, ultimately from making this a best bet, is the possibility that Christian McCaffrey will be back for the Panthers this weekend.
Right.
If he's back, I don't feel good about giving 10.5 to the Panthers. If he's not back, I'll give him the 10.5. I'm picking my score regardless of whether or not they have McCaffrey, because I think the Chiefs are fully focused. 34-17. I'm just not comfortable making that a best bet.
Yeah, I have a lot of the similar feelings there. I got actually a similar score. I went Chiefs 34-24. I'm going to give the Panthers the extra touchdown. I think what ultimately scares me here in this football game, I expect the Chiefs to win. I do. But there's weapons on this Carolina team. And the Chiefs are the type of team that, they're not going to just sit there and die slowly. They take some chances on defense. They will crowd the line of scrimmage. They will play one-on-one like we saw them do with the Raiders and some of those deep shots down the field. And I think that's what scares me about the 10.5 points and all of that, where I think it's one of those games that, Kansas City controls, definitely, but that Carolina will make a play here and there to go, it looked like Kansas City was going to blow them out, but they stayed with a one-score game, or they're keeping it within 10 points. I think it could be one of those type of things, ultimately. But I'm going Chiefs 34-24. I feel comfortable about the win. Don't think I'll be able to pick the best bet because of the reason I just said as well. So here we go. Next game. You ready for the next one?
Ready to go.
All right. Detroit at the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings coming off the it's Florio's team.
The annulment papers have been lost in the mail.
Oh, yeah, they've been lost? Yeah, okay.
The annulment papers are somewhere with the ballots.
Oh, yes, okay. Well, good luck finding those, all right? But Lions are 4-point underdogs. 52.5-point over-under, Mike. How do you see this one playing out?
I've been following the NFL for 50 years, and I know the circumstances here. I know the stakes here. The Vikings at 2-5, the Lions at 3-4. The loser of this game, for all practical purposes, is done. Even if they should expand to 8 teams, and they will expand to 8 teams per conference if only one game is lost in this regular season. There's a chance it will be. But either way, 8 teams, 7 teams, 6 teams. The loser of this game is done. I think the Vikings at home, even without fans there, they understand what they're facing. And even though they have a history of chasing a big win or a deflating loss with a bad performance, I think that Mike Zimmer has the full attention of this team. Let Dalvin cook, keep Kirk Cousins out of the way. The defense is my concern, and it may be another shootout type of a game. They've got 4 corners on the injury report. 3 of them didn't practice yesterday. Matthew Stafford can't show up until Sunday for the Lions because he's on the COVID-19 reserve list. I just like the Vikings in this one, 31-21. The 4 points surprises me. I think it should be more like 5 or 6. I like the Vikings to hold serve at home. This is one of their easier games so far of the year. They have played teams like the Titans and the Seahawks, and most recently the Packers in Green Bay and beat them. I think the Vikings really are better. When Kyle Rudolph told me last week at 1-5, the Vikings are a lot better than that, I thought that's what you have to say, but he proved it. They proved it on Sunday. I got to give him the benefit of the doubt this weekend.
Yeah, I get it. This one was a tough one to me. I went back and forth with this football game. Ultimately, I think the thing that decided it for me is Dalvin Cook and the running game. I do, and the Lions are not a great run-stopping football team. They're okay. I think they're probably a little bit better than just their statistics would say, but this is a pretty good damn run attack that the Packers can bring at you. And, of course, Dalvin Cook is special. Detroit, I don't know what to say with them. I guess this is where I would look at it more than anything. Where I got scared, too, is they're going to, I believe, have to win the game with their passing game. And the fact that Matt Stafford can't practice all this week and Kenny Galladay's re-aggravated his hip injury and all those things, it just scared me. I wouldn't be shocked if the Lions won the football game. But I think those things scare me enough to where, and then the Vikings, who have played in some tough football games, are all, battle-tested from years of being in the playoff conversation and things like that. I'm going to give them the edge here. And just that they've played in more of these type of football games, and because of that run game, and I just don't know what to expect with Stafford and the Lions. I'm going a field goal. Vikings 27-24. I think it's very tight. But I just can't ride with the Lions because of their history, because of Stafford missing out, and anything like that.
So you're picking the Lions to cover.
I am. I'm picking the Lions to cover. I think they'll hang around, keep it close. I'm not going to change it just because I saw that 4-point spread after I already picked the game. It's what I believe. I think it'll be a close one, but we'll see where that goes. All right. Now, Bears, Titans. Bears reeling. 2 in a row they've lost. Tennessee, ugly loss to the Cincinnati Bengals last week. And they are favored by 6 at home, over under at 46.5. Do you think Chicago could go in there, upset them, or do you think Chicago would just go in there and keep it close and lose a close one?
I don't think it will be either. I think the Bears emptied the tank last week against the Saints,
Right.
and that may have broken the Bears mentally. You know, when you go toe-to-toe with a team like that, and you try to follow a very bad performance on Sunday Night Football where your offense did nothing. Well, they scored 3 points, but the defense scored 7 for the Bears that night, and Matt Nagy was beside himself. I feel like that's the kind of game where it takes you a while to get it back, and I think that they accept at some level, and they're not going to admit it. They're never going to admit it. That's not what you do if you have any pride in what you do. But the Titans, because they've lost 2 in a row, because they stepped into the bear trap last week, allowing 1 loss to become 2, as you like to say, and it's right on point. You've got 2 teams that are desperate. You've got 1 team that's more talented. That's the team I'm going to go with. So I like the Titans to win this one. I'm going to go 28-20, Tennessee over the Bears, and that means Titans win and Titans cover, and Titans get to 6-2, Chris.
Yeah, no, I think the way you just said that at the end is the proper phrase, or at least the synopsis of how I look at it. 2 teams that are desperate. The Titans are just a little more talented. That's really what it is, and have a little bit more of an offense that you can rely on to, even though, hey, yeah, we're playing a good Bears defense, that they can do a lot of different things, and they moved the ball last week. A lot of the times, they kind of just shot themselves in the foot, missed a field goal, threw an interception in the red zone against the Bengals, all of those issues. So, as much respect as I have for this Bears defense, and I think they'll be able to slow Derrick Henry and company down, there's just more to worry about on the Titans offense than just that. Corey Davis and A.J. Brown and, Jonnu Smith, they're good damn players too. And that, to me, just gives them enough of an advantage to win the football game. Listen, I worry about the Titans' defense. I do. But this Bears offense is not good enough to expose some of the issues the Titans have. And, the Titans aren't going to – they won't necessarily let up big plays. Like last week, what Joe Burrow did was he just slowly dissected them surgically. Boom, 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 boom. And the Bears have a short passing game that's good and everything like that they might be able to move the ball. That's why I think the game will be close. But I just don't think that Nick Foles can make the plays Joe Burrow can, nor am I necessarily sure. The Bears receivers aren't as good as T. Higgins and A.J. Green and Boyd for the Bengals. So, yeah, I'm going Titans 23-20. I think the Bears hang around close, but like you said, the Titans are the better football team. All right, next one, the Giants versus the football team. And the football team's coming off a bye week. It's 2.5-point favorites with the Giants coming to town. The Giants lose a heartbreaker to the Bucs, a game that they could have stole, a game that has, to me, let down all over it, where, you just talked about, we let 1 loss become 2 losses because we were still festering about this. Has the feeling of the Giants still, I can't believe we blew that game against the Bucs, and not being on their P's and Q's against the football team, Mike. And I'll just make it quick because since I've already talked a lot, I'm picking the football team to win 20-17 because of that. I really am. I think because they had a little extra time, and Kyle Allen, another week of practice and things like that. Their defense is very good. The Giants on the short week, a devastating loss that they should have won. I think it carries over to this week, and I think the football team will win 20-17.
For a change, I agree with everything you just said. 21-17 is my pick. Throw in the fact that the Washington football team went into the bye week with that big win over the Cowboys. You throw on top of it Ron Rivera completing his cancer treatments, the lift that gives to the organization.
Yeah, good one.
And they believe
Right.
believe they can win the division.
Right.
That's what Ron Rivera's been telling them. 2014 Panthers 7-8-1, won the NFC South, won a playoff game, and gave the Seahawks everything they could handle. That has become the mantra, and that is the thing that I think keeps carrying them. And the fact that they beat the Eagles, they got to feel pretty good about what they can do. All right, let's take a break. 4 p.m. Eastern games for Week 9 when we return, including a pair of number ones at quarterback for the first time in a long time, Tua versus Kyler. We'll discuss the late afternoon games when PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned continue at FS. Have you heard it's a big sports weekend on NBC?
You know, I haven't.
You're hearing now.
Oh.
You're hearing it now. Breeders' Cup World Championship. Clemson versus Notre Dame. NASCAR Cup Series Championship, and then Sunday Night Football, 7 Eastern, Football Night in America. We will be there for that one, and we'll be watching everything else, Christopher. All right, before the Saints and the Bucs get together, there will be a small handful this week, a large handful next week of 4 p.m. Eastern games, 4:05, 4:25. They know who we mean. Take us through the late afternoon kickoffs.
Yep. All right. We got Las Vegas versus the Los Angeles Chargers. We're going to L.A. Chargers favored by 1. Over under 52. Interesting game. Interesting matchup. Chargers got explosive players on offense, as do the Raiders. Chargers like to blow leads. Mike, what are you going to do here?
You know, I wish there would be fans at this game for a variety of reasons, but one of which is that new stadium would be overrun by Raiders fans.
It would be.
And, you know, it's funny because last year when the Chargers are playing in a 30,000-seat stadium, but like, well, when they have a bigger stadium, there'll be more Chargers fans. No, it's going to be the same percentage, which is going to make it even worse in their new stadium. And the one team that they have to worry about every year is the Raiders coming to town. I think the Raiders, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I was impressed by what they did last week in Cleveland, and I think they're starting to find their footing, and they're starting to make their move, and they've recovered from getting their asses kicked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I thought that would contribute to a loss last weekend, frankly. Kudos to John Gruden and company for putting that in the rearview mirror and taking care of business. It's not going to be easy, but I look at this one, and I see the Chargers as 1-point favorites, and I'm thinking, really? Really? I think the Raiders are the better team. The record reflects it. I know the Chargers should have won far more of their games than they have, but when you can't hold 17-point leads, at some point you snap. And I just wonder whether or not the Chargers are snapping, and I wonder whether or not the Raiders are building. So I'm going to go Raiders 27-24. Don't need to pick a blowout.
Yeah.
I'm getting 1 point already.
Right.
I like the Raiders to win straight up. So that's my score, and that's in my consideration for a best bet.
Yeah, I hear you with a lot of things. I mean, the Chargers, hey, they can make some big plays. We know that. I mean, with Justin Herbert's right arm and some of the receivers they have on the offensive side of the ball, there'll be some opportunities. You know, the Raiders, they will play man-to-man. They got good cover corners. They trust them, and they also trust that they know they don't have a good run defense. And I think they worry about that too. So they're always worried about trying to help their front seven to stop people that way. So that's where I look at it to be very interesting. The Chargers offense, you know, their run game, it's not special. It's okay statistically. They run the ball too much, in my opinion, and that's why it is okay statistically. I mean, they're one of the league leaders in attempts per game running the football. When I want to go, wait, your offensive line's not good. The best part of your team is your quarterback and your receivers, yet we make the focal point the run game all the time, and I can't stand it. It drives me crazy with the Chargers. But I think because of that, and that the fact that they're not a well-oiled run machine that way, this is where, you know, the Raiders will be able to err on coverage at times and do things like that. You know, last week they weren't worried about the drop-back pass game of the Browns, so they could put all their eggs in the one basket and stop the run. This week, I think they can almost do the opposite. Like, we're not that worried about the Chargers and their run game. Let's drop back. Let's try to stop the big plays from Justin Herbert. And then on the other side of the ball, I mean, the Raiders can do both. They really can. And the Chargers, as we've seen here, I mean, everybody's moving the ball in the Chargers. That's not an issue for anybody. So I because of that, I'm the same as you. I think it's a close game, but I'm going Raiders too, 31-28. They're tougher. They're more battle-tested. They got the more experienced quarterback. I think they're truly playing for something. I think they believe they're a playoff team. And I think the Chargers just believe, hey, we're fun playing football, but next year's our year to talk about playoffs. And that's why I'll go with the Raiders. You good? Anything else you want to say?
I'm good.
All right.
No, I'm good.
Now, this is a doozy here. You said it. Number 1 versus number 1 on their jerseys. Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa. I can't say his last name still yet. I need to practice that one. But the Dolphins going to Arizona. Arizona favored by 4.5. Over under at 48. I am very, very, very intrigued by this football game. I want to pick Miami to upset them. I'm not sure if I have the guts to do it. I want to hear you talk about it first.
And I mentioned last segment that this is the first time, and I saw this tweet. It was credited to the Elias Sports Bureau. I didn't know they tracked statistics like this, but in more than 20 years, minimum, the first time that two quarterbacks who wear number 1 are facing each other in Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa. So it doesn't mean anything to the game. It's just
it's a cool one, though. It's got to be Warren Moon versus somebody, and I can't think of who it would be.
Well, not a lot of quarterbacks have worn number 1, which is kind of amazing. You got to have some cojones to wear number 1. You got to have some self-confidence in yourself to wear number 1, Chris, because you're telling the world, I'm number 1.
I know.
And Kyler Murray is. Tua's still got to prove it.
Right.
And look, the Cardinals have had 2 weeks to get ready for this one. I think there's an edge there. I think the Cardinals are realizing that they're not the team that somehow blew back-to-back games against the Lions and the Panthers. They're better than that.
Right.
They just dismantled the Dallas Cowboys. They went toe-to-toe with the Seahawks. 69 minutes and 45 seconds later, they got the victory. Came back from the deficit in the fourth quarter, the 10-point deficit. I know Miami went out west earlier this year and obliterated the 49ers, but this time around, I like the Cardinals. I'm not ready to write off Miami. I just think they're walking into a hornet's nest with Kyler Murray. You're not going to be able to stop him. You can slow him down maybe. You can frustrate him maybe. You can maybe do what the Lions did, and you mentioned earlier today, Matt Patricia did with the Lions, what maybe Brian Flores will do. They've got that common DNA back to New England, but I still think Kyler Murray is too good. Tua Tagovailoa, unproven. I like the Cardinals in this one, 30-24. I don't feel great about it, but I'm admitting that I'm allowing the fact that I like the Cardinals and I like Kyler and I want to see them compete for the NFC West Championship. I admit that bias in my selection. I've tried to set it aside, but I acknowledge that it's there.
Well, I mean, that's good. I understand it. It's there's a reason it's there. I mean, hey, the damn quarterback's good. I mean, he makes plays. They got the number 1 offense in football, and I would say to you that they're nowhere even near being the number 1 offense in football in my eyes. But they're the number 1 offense in football because of that little freak of nature at quarterback. You know, they're one of the best running teams in football. They can't run the ball that well. They're one of the best running teams because he can run and scramble and do everything that way. He is phenomenal. I want to pick the Dolphins to upset them. I think they match up really well. I do. You know, I think, again, this is not an overly complicated scheme with the Arizona Cardinals. I think Flores has a chance to be all over this, let alone the personnel to contain a Kyler Murray and the guys on the outside that can really lock up Arizona and what they do in the pass game. So that's where I really want to pick them. But, you know, Arizona's defense is pretty good, and I don't know where I'm going to trust Miami right now. You know, hey, Miami with Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'm going to probably pick the Dolphins. I am, definitely. But I don't know about Tua yet. And Miami's run game isn't good enough for me to just sit here and go, well, they'll be able to run the ball and protect Tua that way. Arizona's run defense isn't special, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it doesn't matter because they can't run the ball good enough, I think, to take advantage of that or control the game that way. And I just don't trust Tua. I'm going with the basic reasoning of basically what you're saying. I'm just going, game's very even. Number 1 in red and white is better than number 1 in turquoise and white. And for that, I'm going to pick them to win a really close football game. I'm going to go 20-17 Cardinals. All right. Anything else you want to add to that?
Nope.
Did you figure out who the matchup was with number 1? You teased us, and you're not going to tell us ever. Jeez.
No, I didn't. I don't know how to research
I know.
that.
I'm
They're
giving you a
telling
hard
us to
time.
move on.
All right.
Move
the hell
on.
with Pete.
Let's move
All
on.
right, here we go.
Out.
We got a quick one here. Death or death here is it's Pittsburgh versus the Cowboys. Pittsburgh's favored by 74 points. No, really only by 14 points. Over under at 41.5. Mike, how much do you have the Steelers winning by?
I got 30-13. I feel bad for Garrett Gilbert and or Cooper Rush. Congratulations, you're starting the game. Condolences, you're going to be across from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And like I said earlier today on PFT Live, it hurts the Cowboys to have that sizzle of America's team, to have that great stadium. The Steelers are not going to fall into a trap with this one. They're going to be as fired up as if they were playing the Chiefs this weekend. I feel badly for the Cowboys. It's going to be ugly, 30-13.
Yep. I'm going 31-6. I don't know. I just can't imagine Ezekiel Elliott and company running the ball on them. And whoever plays quarterback, sorry, like you said, it's Pittsburgh. And then that defense in Dallas, I mean, come on. Get out of here. 31-6, bloodbath. I mean, really. I can't see Dallas moving the ball. All right, we got to go to break, so you take over from here.
Quick break. Primetime games when we continue, including the best game of the week and not the best game of the week for Sunday night and Monday night. We'll do that one. PFT PM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned continue right after this. Taking a look at the primetime games now, Christopher. Before we get to it, though, may I remind you, if you didn't already know, the odds are provided by PointsBet Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of NBC Sports. And with that, I ask you to take us through the two primetime games, not Thursday night, the big primetime games this week, sort of. Sunday night, huge. Monday night,
Yeah, just on the Monday night. But the Sunday night is, yes, it's big. We're talking big, 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 big. It's Drew Brees. It's Tom Brady. It's the two all-time touchdown pass leaders, and Brady's got the edge right now by one. Am I right? It's by one touchdown.
561 to 560. They have over 1,100 between them.
Oh, baby, that'll be personal. It really will be. But the Saints traveling to Tampa. Tampa favored by 4.5. Over under at 51.5. I know you're picking Tampa Bay. I know that. You've been on the bandwagon all year. It's your Super Bowl team. But do you have Tommy and Brucey covering the spread?
Well, it's funny because right before week one, I picked the Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl, but the Saints to beat the Buccaneers in week one.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was going to take time.
Sure.
And it did take time. And you know what? Here we are, half a season later. The Bucs are 6-2. The Bucs are looking good. Antonio Brown has joined the party. Rob Gronkowski is no longer running around in the drizzle of maple syrup. Mike Evans is healthy. Chris Godwin may be back. And here's the thing, though. The Saints are getting Emmanuel Sanders back from a couple of games that he missed due to having COVID-19. Michael Thomas, who hasn't played since week one, all indications are he'll be back. I got 30-27. And this is my rooting interest in being entertained by a great game. I don't want it to be anything more than a 4.5-point spread. I want it to be a one-score game. I want it to be close. I want it to be exciting. I want to will it. I want to speak it into existence. 30-27, Buccaneers beat the Saints, move to 7-2, and move into control of the NFC South. It should be a great game. I don't know how the Saints are going to slow down that offense. It's going to be fascinating to watch what Dennis Allen comes up with because Sean Payton basically delegates the entire defense to him. So that's what I'm picking, and I'm hoping that that's what we get.
Wow, yeah. All right, so you got the Saints covering there. Good job by you.
The Saints cover. That's right.
By the
Saints
half the
cover,
point,
Bucs
right?
win.
Yep. So, I mean, when I look at this, I think these are two of the better teams in the NFC. No doubt about it. I think the Bucs are the best team in the NFC. I think we both do. I don't care what it looked like on Monday night. It's the NFL. Teams are going to have a down week and not always play perfect. There's not that big of a difference between the best teams and some of the worst teams in football. So, yeah, they were sleeping a little bit. They won't be sleeping this week. They know what they're dealing with. They know, the ramifications of the football game, everything about that. It's going to be physical, no doubt. But ultimately, I just come down to, two things. And you heard me say this a little on PFT this morning. The Bucs have the best defense in football, or is it it's the number one defense in football. They can do it all. I mean, they really can. They can play zone. They can rush the passer. They can stop the run. They can play man-to-man. Their corner, Carlton Davis, check him out, everybody, on Sunday Night Football, number 24. He's one of the best corners in football. He is locked down corner. I mean, he's that special. And They don't let up a ton of big plays. The Saints, on the Saints on their defense against Brady, and as balanced as that Bucs offense is, and they can protect the passer, and they got all these weapons, and now here comes Antonio Brown. I got a lot of respect for the Saints defense, but I don't know how they stop that group, let alone the Saints, even though a top 10 defense in yards and everything like that. They're one of the worst as far as points allowed. They're letting up 28 points a game right now. That's not good against a balanced offense that can beat you any way they want and can create big plays and do all those type of things. So because of that, and then the Saints offense and their inability to create big plays on the offensive side of the ball, I just don't think Drew Brees and Sean Payton or company are going to be able to keep up with 12-play, 80-yard drive, 12-play, 80-yard drive when, yeah, Tampa might have some 12-play, 80-yard drives, but I bet you they have a few that are like 4 plays, 75, or 6 plays, 80 yards for a touchdown. And there's a difference in that. There is. It takes the pressure off an offense, everything about it, and that's why I'm going to go Bucs 31-24. Similar score to you. You just gave the Saints an extra field goal. Good?
All right, take us to Monday night.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. I'm always expecting to rebuttal, say something. All right, now we got New England.
Not when they're telling us that we don't have a whole lot of time left. That's what saves you from being picked apart by me.
Oh, okay, fine.
Agree with
Screw
everything you
Pete.
said,
Okay,
I agree with
fine.
everything
Don't
you
worry
said.
about Pete. The
Go
hell
ahead.
with him. All right, here we go. New England, 7.5-point favorites against the Jets, who are the worst team in football. Over/under at 42.5. 7.5 points is a lot of points. I mean, for New England, I'm interested to see what you got here with this score.
And this is the butt fumble reunion game. What is it, 8 years to the month since the notorious moment at the same stadium? I like the coincidence. I like the parallel. Tom Brady was just there last Monday night with his new team against the Giants. Now Bill Belichick goes there with his current team against the Jets.
Yeah.
And the excuse-making from Bill Belichick, I think it's going to filter into the locker room. And I think if they were facing any team other than the Jets, I'd be tempted to pick the Patriots to lose their 5th in a row. And originally, I toyed with the idea of giving the Jets the win because, let's face it, look at the games the Jets have played this year. Other than the Broncos, this is the one that they have the best chance of winning. But they didn't beat the Broncos. They're not going to beat the Patriots. I've got 28-17 Patriots over the Jets. I don't know how good I feel about the Patriots covering. I thought about splitting the baby here and saying Patriots win, Jets cover, but I'll go 28-17 Patriots win.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Patriots to win too. I'm going 24-13. I just think it's, more than anything, I just can't, the Jets, they're just not good enough offensively. And, yeah, there's a weakness in the Patriots' run defense and all of that, but the Jets aren't good enough in the run game either to where I think they can just totally expose that part of the Patriots like a 49ers team did or anything like that. So, with that, and still they are New England, and Cam Newton really played awesome last week other than that last play of the game. I think they'll be ready to go here. I think it might be ugly and tough and close, but I think ultimately Patriots will put them away. I'm going 24-13. I think it's like a 17-13 game, and they get a late score to kind of put it away, but that's how I see it. And I'm kind of excited for it, even though it's a boring game. The Patriots, I don't feel like are dead or totally out of this, and I kind of want to just see if they can salvage something in this season.
And if they do win, the question then will become whether we see a coaching change for the Jets the next day because they will enter their bye week at 0-9. All right, that's all 14 of the games for this weekend. When we return, our chance to redeem ourselves for a 1-5 combined best bets debacle last week. Our best 3 picks this week, and you may just want to go ahead and do the opposite. We'll be back with more PFTPM and Chris Simms.
I'm going to totally redeem myself.
All right, long way to go and short time to get there as we wrap up this edition of PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Best bets time. Chris, let's get rolling.
Okay. All right, here we go. So you want to read it off? You want me to go first? All right, I'll start.
Go ahead.
The hell
go.
with you. Bears,
go.
Titans. I'm going with the Bears. All right, that's going to be my first best bet of the day. I am. Too many points there for me in that matchup. Tennessee, the way their defense is playing, and the way the ball was moved on them last week with the short passing game, the Bears have that, and I think their defense will keep them close. I went 23-20. Titans winning the football game, but 6 points is too much.
All right, I'm going to go Vikings, and I'm going to throw it back to you because, unlike you, I'm aware that we're running out of time.
Oh,
Go.
screw Pete. Don't worry about Pete. I'm going to go.
No, the show's going to end,
I'm
and we're
going
going to
with
still
the
be
Raiders.
talking.
I'm going with the Raiders because I think they're going to win the football game. I can't believe the Chargers are favored by 1.
I'm going with the Raiders as well. I think they're going to win the football game, and I can't believe the Chargers are favored by 1. You're up next.
What was your first one? The Vikings?
The Vikings, giving 4 to the Lions.
Horrible pick by you.
Boo! All right, fine.
I'm taking the Steelers. I mean, it's 14 points. The Cowboys stink.
You love those double-digit spreads.
I do, and I hit on them all the time. You need to join the party. I mean, there's a reason it's 14. We don't even know who the hell the quarterback is for the Cowboys. Good luck against the Steelers, buddy.
I'd actually feel better for the Cowboys if you were playing quarterback this weekend than
I
either
would
of these
too.
Two guys that are competing for the job.
We'd lose by 40 instead of 45.
For me, the last pick, drum roll please, or otherwise, Baltimore Ravens giving 2 to the Indianapolis Colts. I just think the Ravens are going to get back on the right track. And I just look, 2, who cares? Of course, I've said that before, and then the team wins by 1, which probably is what's going to happen. But come on, Ravens, win by 3 and help me avoid going 0-3 again. That's it. We're out of time. PFTPM, Chris Simms Unbuttoned. We do it every Thursday during football season, which means we'll do it again next week. Enjoy the games. We'll see you Friday for PFT Live. We'll see you next week for the joint podcast production.
See ya.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.